Hello, collectors, hobbyists, sports enthusiasts, and those who just like watching podcasts and closing shows. Welcome. We've got our September to October catalog auction closing tonight. Tonight is session 1 at 10 p.m. Central Time. Extended bidding will begin tonight. And then we have session 2 tomorrow. And then session 3 the day after that. I'm Mike Provenzale. I'm the production manager at Heritage Auctions. Always an exciting night when we have an auction closing, especially one this big, over 3,000 items, cards, set, wax, and every possible type of collectible you can imagine. And they're all going to find new homes this weekend. Put a lot of work into these, and thank you to our consigners for trusting us with your items. So it's always exciting for us to see where they end up, the prices that get posted, the record prices, and we're going to have some of those over the weekend as well. Now, most of you may be asking, where's my partner, Tony Giese? Well, he's gone international. He is in Montreal. So we are in separate locations, but you're going to hear from him as well. Tonight, we're going to talk about some of our favorite items, the highlights, some things that are under the radar, and of course, some things with interesting stories. And we're going to break it all down for you as we get closer to extended bidding for session 1, which is 10 p.m. Central Time tonight. So for those items in session 1, you need to get your bids in before then, your initial bids, to be eligible for extended bidding. We'll also talk about some items in session 2 and 3, which will be coming up on the next 2 nights, and you have more time to bid on those. But I thought right at the top, we should start off with the last show we had. We were talking about the 1932 Babe Ruth game-worn called shot jersey from the 32 World Series that set a all-time record for a sports item at $24 million. Yesterday was the anniversary of the called shot game. So we should start talking about the Bambino. He's the cornerstone of our industry, and we, of course, have some incredible cards and collectibles featuring Babe Ruth. Starting with this one off the top, which I would call one of the more under-the-radar, underappreciated cards, if you can imagine, for Babe Ruth. But this is the Babe Ruth rookie card, the 1916 M1015 Sporting News, which it doesn't get the same attention that the T206 Honus Wagner does, or the 52 Topps Mantle, or Jackie Robinson's rookie, or even Jordan's rookie, or Brady rookies, or LeBron rookies. And part of that is just the scarcity. There are not many out there. And this is a beautiful example in a PSA Good Plus 2.5. It has the blank back. But a very rare card. And of course, any card collector is always looking for the rookie, and this is Babe Ruth's rookie. Some wonder why it isn't more hailed, more heralded in the hobby. Very tough card to find. Usually when these come up for auction, once they sell, they disappear into collections for a long time. But this one is a great example. It has a nice image area. Almost all the examples of this card are in lower end grades, but this one has a very sharply rendered image, positioned well within the borders. In the dawning era of one of the greatest careers in sports history. Of course, has him pitching for the Red Sox. Unique image. And this is going to post a huge number, of course, well into 6 figures already. And we're all excited to see where this one is going to find a new home. This is tonight. It is in session 1. Session 1 is the cards. Up next, this is in session 2 tomorrow night, but a really unique Babe Ruth item, a personal item. This is Babe Ruth's scorecard from the 1924 World Series. Ruth attended the game. He would have liked to be out there on the field, but the Washington Senators snatched the pennant from the Yanks in 1924. We've sold a few photos of Ruth at this game. Christy Mathewson was there. Christy Walsh, his agent as well, some other luminaries. But Ruth filled out and scored the game as he went. He signed it as well. There's a 10 out of 10 autograph from Ruth on this in pencil. But very cool item, thinking about the Bambino there, wishing he was on the field, but scoring the game. I wouldn't have guessed that he would be someone who would score the game. I would have thought he was concentrating more on beer and hot dogs when he's in the stands at a game. But he also put some nice handwritten notes here. He said New York lost the chance with bases full in the first inning. He also wrote, Goslin made a great home run in the first inning with Rice on second base. So a very unique Ruth item. It has the great signature, which of course is the main allure. The pinnacle for autographs in our industry is the Babe Ruth autograph. This is a very strong one, but a cool item that was in his hands for several hours during the game. He was scoring it and he left some notes, a little Ruth insight. He had World Series experience and would go on to have much more. But that is a very unique Ruth item, one that I expect whoever wins it is going to hold on to it for a while. This other one, very unique Ruth item from 1940. The headline part of it is this single signed baseball, really strong autograph from Ruth. But this is a large group lot of items. And what this is from is the 1940 New York's World's Fair. They had an essay contest to find, quote, the typical American family. So 45 families were awarded an all expenses paid trip to the fair. They got to use while there a deluxe Ford V8 sedan and stay in a model home designed and furnished by Sears. A lot of branding in this. So in Rockport, Georgia, a 14-year-old named Gladstone Burnett entered the contest through his local paper. His essay described his father was the postmaster of the city, the commander of the local American Legion, a Sunday school teacher at their Baptist church. His mother, Wesleyan College alum, was active in the church and social circles, and also an excellent golfer. I thought that was a great note. His 10-year-old sister liked reading and swimming, so he sent in his essay, and they were selected as one of the winners. And this whole collection is the ephemera that they received. Of course, they got the beautiful Babe Ruth signed baseball. I'm sure he was very excited to get that, but there's a bunch of great items here. There's a bracelet that his sister got. There's the World's Fair pennant, the guidebook. He's got some newspaper articles. There's also some great photos of Gladstone and Gloria receiving their gifts. And they got to meet Ruth there. It was May 11th to October 27, 1940, when the fair ran. But a strong 8 out of 10 autograph in ink from Ruth on the ball. And just a really unique Ruth signed item. We have several Ruth signed balls in this auction. If you're looking for a Babe Ruth signed item, this is a great auction for it. But this one has this great backstory and this history, and it's all laid out. You get all the items, the newspaper articles, the photos of the family, in addition to the Ruth signed ball. So one of those collectibles that you're not just showing someone you've got a signed Ruth ball, you've got this whole extra story behind it to detail. So I think that's a very cool one. In this auction, we also have some great modern items, especially in the modern basketball category. This is the highlight here, the 2003 Topps Chrome Gold Refractor LeBron rookie, a Gem Mint 10, and it's numbered 30 out of 50. This is one of those cards that has really accelerated in value since it first came out. This is a beautiful example, obviously, in the Gem Mint 10, but the best pull from the entire issue, the Gold Refractor, was the rarest parallel insert card in the top Chrome variants. So LeBron collectors, modern basketball collectors, this is one of the holy grails, and it's a beautiful specimen. I was looking at it this morning, shimmering and shining. It's going to elevate a collection tonight, this one closing tonight as well. And then we've got some great wax. Of course, we have an 86 Fleer basketball wax box inside there, 36 untouched, unopened packs, a favorite among collectors. Of course, it has the Jordan rookie, but we've seen some great results for the other high-tone rookies in there with Barkley and Ewing, and Olajuwon, Stockton. We've been privileged to sell a few of these, and they always do a huge number. They kind of peaked a few years ago during the pandemic and have come down to a more normal level, but still posting great results. And this is iconic piece for the modern basketball collectors. And this one's going to find a new home this evening. And speaking of Jordan, this next one is one of the rarest Jordan cards. We have never offered this card before. This is the 95 Upper Deck SP Top Prospects Autographs. And it's got a 8 autograph from Jordan on it, graded a 7, pop 1, 2 higher. It's believed only 23 examples of this card were created. It's got a strong signature from Jordan on it. And this was an issue that highlighted the top minor league baseball players. And of course, Jordan was the biggest name among them. This was during his baseball sabbatical. You can see him in the Barons uniform there. But for modern collectors, for Jordan collectors, this is one that rarely ever comes up. Only a few have sold publicly. So a huge opportunity, and I'm expecting to see some fireworks on this one tonight. A lot of interest in this. And then while we're talking about wax, this is one of my favorites. We've had the honor of selling a few of these, the 61 Fleer basketball wax box. You've got 24 untouched packs in there. I love the graphics on these. If you've ever watched the show before, you know I'm a big fan of the 60s and 70s wax boxes and the graphics, and this one is fantastic and such an important set. 61 Fleer, 35 of the set's 66 entries are star cards, classified as star cards. So half of it is just bangers. And of course, you got Wilt and Oscar Robertson and Elgin Baylor and Jerry West rookie cards in there. So one of the most important basketball issues that exists. And hard to find the 61 Fleer wax boxes, but somebody is going to win this beauty tonight. Another big segment of this auction is sets, and especially high grade complete sets, which we have some real important ones headlined by this, the 1968 Topps Baseball complete set, 598 cards. This is ranked number 2 on the PSA set registry, and collectors know how difficult that 68 set is with that full bleed border. So to have the number 2 set coming up, we expect this set to go into 7 figures, well on its way already. But so many important cards in there. Of course, the Nolan Ryan and Johnny Bench rookies. But this is a beautiful set. I was looking through it, and it is just unbelievable. We've seen a lot of great 68 Topps baseball cards over the years, but to see the entire complete set in that grade, this is how unbelievable it is. 517 of the cards are in PSA 10, and the other 81 are PSA 9. So nothing under a 9 in the entire set. It is unbelievable. And if you've ever wanted to put together the 68 Topps set, it is very difficult to find high grade examples. Just purchase this one right here. It's ready to go for you. And then almost as unbelievable as that is the next 68 Fleer set, or 68 Topps baseball set, which this is the set. Every card is signed. And this was a labor of love for our consignor who purchased some, but got a lot of these in person. And it is unreal when you go through it. because, of course, all the single player cards are signed, but the cards that feature 2 players, those are signed. The team cards are also signed by the most important player on that team that year. Even the checklists, which the multiple checklists in this, they all have a player's image on it, and the checklists are signed as well. It is so extensive. And signed vintage cards have really exploded in value over the last few years. And to see something like this come in is just absolutely unreal. We were going through it and just marveling. High quality autographs as well. If you look at our online listing, it has the breakdown of the grades for the cards and the autographs, but just is so voluminous and so many autographs, many that you can no longer get. Especially the Clemente, which is one of my favorites in this issue, signed. And there's multiple Clementes in there autographed, because you've got the All-Star cards, the League Leader cards. Every single one is autographed. It is just unbelievable. But as far as vintage sets, we have a long list in this auction. We've got a 51 Bowman baseball complete set. That one is number 18 currently on the PSA set registry. Really undervalued set, under-recognized, but we've seen some good prices for the individuals. This one is a complete set and one of the most aesthetically pleasing sets. And of course, you've got the Mantle rookie in there. We also have a 52 Topps. Heard of that set? Complete graded set. The Mantle, the most important one, is a PSA near mint to mint 8 off center there, but still a beautiful example, especially considering the prices that the 52 Topps Mantle is getting. But as a beautiful example of the Jackie Robinson as well, you can see right in the middle of that image with the red background there. That is a beautiful example of the Jackie card, in my opinion, the second most important in there, but beautiful set. Then we also have 55 Topps baseball complete set. We've got a 1960 Topps baseball. This is a high grade complete set. It's ranked number 24. It's 24 current finest on the PSA registry. That one is really beautiful. 61 Topps PSA graded master set. This is the number 8 current finest on the PSA set registry, and some really difficult low pop ones in that complete set. And then we got the modern stuff too. 1980 Topps baseball complete graded set. For those of you who love the 80s era, this is the number 3 current finest on the PSA registry. So plenty of ready to go complete sets. You can just lock it all in tonight. Extended bidding begins at 10 p.m. Central Time. It's for session 1. Then we got session 2 tomorrow, and then session 3. So many items to highlight, but I'm going to take a short break and let you hear what Tony likes in the auction. Tony, how's Montreal?
Thanks, Mike. I've got a really cool flannel jersey, 1962 Juan Marichal game-worn San Francisco Giants jersey. Here, it's a beautiful cream-colored flannel with the two-tone Giants on the front. It's got Marichal chain-stitched to a swatch. And if you look at the tail, you've got the Tim McAuliffe year tag. You've got the manufacturer's label and the size tag all sewn together in the tail. A really nice Juan Marichal game-worn flannel jersey. You don't see a lot of them in the open market. This one here is original, and it's a SGC Superior. So it's got all the bells and whistles that you could possibly want. A really high-end Juan Marichal game-worn jersey. One of the true tough Perez Steel conquests is that of Lloyd Wainer. I know we talked about Satchel Paige before. This one here is really difficult to find. Satchel Paige and Lloyd Wainer are two kind of 1 and 1A as far as difficulty locating their autographs on this medium. Very difficult. Both guys died shortly after the Perez Steels were released. This one here is really solid. got the Gem Mint 10 autograph. He responsibly placed it right across the center, and a really tough one. You know, anytime somebody comes up to me and I've got these Perez Steels, the first questions I ask, do you have Page? Do you have Wayner? This one here is a difficult find, and it's got a really nice signature on a very tough medium to find. Drazen Petrovic, one of the first European basketball players to make a big mark in the NBA. Fortunately, he passed away far too young. Died in a car accident on an Autobahn in the early 90s. This one here, New Jersey Nets, game-worn jersey. Now he is a Hall of Famer, and a lot of people really look back to him as far as the explosion of foreign basketball players. This guy could shoot from anywhere, actually played defense too, was just an outstanding player, and a guy who sorely missed because he could have really helped elevate the Nets probably to that next level had he lived longer. A lot of interest in Drazen Petrovic, and this one here is a really nice, solid game-worn jersey. Jerry Rice, 1996 game-worn jersey here. It's from touchdowns 149 and 150 of his career. This was used on Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, an overtime thriller. Rice was his customary brilliant self, over 100 yards, I believe he had in this game. It's got the great patch on the front, the 50 years patch, which really is a cool selling point on that jersey. Nice wear. There's some good contact marks in the shoulder region and good wash wear as well. Really solid game-worn Jerry Rice jersey from the mid-90s when he was still dominating the NFL. One of the, they call the 1990s the junk wax era. This is not junk wax. This is a Desert Shield box, which were only sent to the troops overseas. Most of them did not make it back. The soldiers would open them up, and a lot of times, you know, they didn't have card savers to protect these, and not a lot made it back to the United States. This is one of the really toughest issues of the 1990s. Desert Shield, unopened box, wrapped by BBC baseball card exchange, and a really hard find from the early 90s. This is, you know, for a lot of these players, this is their best card, and a really, really cool, hard to find 1990s piece. This one here really got me interested. Of course, we all know Mickey Mantle being Mickey Mantle, you know, the 574 home runs, Hall of Fame career, one of the biggest Yankees. This is an actual home run ball from 1973, hit during Old Timers Day at Yankee Stadium back in the in the 70s and 80s. Old Timers Day was a really big deal. They brought back the old stars of the past. And this is one that Mantle actually hit a home run, and it ended up being his final home run at Yankee Stadium. Did this nice autograph on the sweet spot of the baseball. The particulars are notated on the side panels. A different kind of piece, but a really neat piece from the Mick, and it is literally his last home run he ever hit it at Yankee Stadium. Johnny Bench game used bat, 1977 to 79, and you look at this bat. It's graded a PSA DNA game used 9.5. A lot of ball marks throughout on this bat. 5 on the knob. But the thing I really like about this bat, there's an accumulation of pine tar on the handle of this bat. Shows great use. The pine tar, when you think of Bench, you think of all the pine tar he used, and a lot of great use on this bat. A really solid exemplar of a game-used Johnny Bench bat. This was just photo matched a couple days ago. Chris Mullin, Dream Team 1 player, Hall of Famer, went to St. John's, was on the Run TMC of the Golden State Warriors of the late 80s, early 90s. This actually is a rookie jersey, which just recently got photo matched, which of course is going to up the value of it quite a bit. really hard to find quality Chris Mullin game worn jerseys. This is the first rookie jersey I have ever seen, and a gorgeous style, but also the photo matching always takes it to that next level. We expect spirited bidding on this lot as it gets closer to the end. The future, Bobby Witt Jr., a Dallas product, and he has the Royals actually in the postseason again, which they haven't been in some time. This is a really nice game used bat from early in his career. Really solid use, MLB authenticated. It's got the lizard skins grip on there with a lot of pine tar. It kind of has all the things you would want in a game used jersey. Great use, autograph, MLB authentic. The future of baseball and of Kansas City baseball, Bobby Witt Jr. One of the unsung heroes in football, Joe Thomas, was an All-Pro, Pro Bowler every year of his career. Unfortunately, he never got to really experience much playoff success playing for the Cleveland Browns. Hall of Fame offensive lineman, one of the absolute greatest of all time. This, when I look at it, I love that captain's patch. He was a captain, I believe, almost every year of his career. A guy who gave everything he had at an unbelievable amount of consecutive snaps. He was always on the field, playing the toughest position in sports, probably offensive lineman. This guy was always on the field. Great wear, great use. Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, one of the absolute greatest. This one kind of brings me back to my childhood. This poster, most of us had this as a kid. Unfortunately, most of us didn't have one that's autographed by Michael Jordan. This is the famous Wings poster, signed by Michael Jordan. These always perform really well because I think people remember this poster as a kid. This one here, a limited edition Upper Deck signed. This one I kind of say transcends generations. Brings me back to when I was a kid, and a really neat, great spot that he put his autograph, the lower right corner. Really solid Michael Jordan. Of course, Jordan autographs have gone up quite a bit in the last 5-6 years after The Last Dance. And this one here, Upper Deck authenticated, a really solid autograph for Michael Jordan.
Tony, miss you, buddy. Can't wait for you to get back to the States. So bidding is still going strong. Session 1 is going tonight. Extended bidding begins at 10 p.m. Central Time. So you still have time to get in your bids for Session 1. And then, of course, Session 2 and 3 as well. We have some really incredible collections highlighted in this auction. We have some of a complete of all Wes Unseld cards, which very underappreciated player, but one who isn't underappreciated is Pistol Pete Maravich. And we have a collection in this auction which has essentially every Pistol Pete card that has been printed and high-grade examples of it. So, of course, we have the 70 Topps rookie, the big boy here. This one's in a PSA Mint 9. Got the 71 Topps Maravich in a 9. 72 Topps, which is my favorite Maravich card. This one's a PSA Gem Mint 10. Gorgeous example. There's only 6 in a 10, but my favorite pose for him. And then in 72 also, we have the ComSpec card, which it was a lawyer who loved the 72 Topps basketball issue. He wanted to make his own issue. So a lot of question marks about how this was done, if it was even legal, if he got permission, but you can see it's the same images from the 72 Topps. And we have a huge collection of 72 ComSpec cards in this auction, many of them closing tonight, including this Maravich, which is the highlight of the set, in my opinion. This one's a near mint 7, pop 2, only 2 higher. So really rare and really condition sensitive set, the 72 ComSpec. And if you're interested in those strange sets that aren't as well known but a little underappreciated, this is a good one to focus on. And we have the 74 Topps Maravich. That's in a 10. Pop 5 for that one. Love the haircut in this one. Of course, 75 Topps. That's a PSA Mint 9. And then the rest of the run for Maravich, they're all PSA Gem Mint 10s. The 76 tops, the 77 tops, that's a 10. Pop 3 there. The 78 tops, also in a 10. And then the 79 tops. And then I like the 1980 tops Maravich, which this one's with Lloyd Free and Dennis Johnson, the slam dunk version. That one is in a Gem Mint 10 as well. So if you're a Maravich collector or looking to become one, great auction for you. A lot of high grade examples of Maravich cards. And then we also have some other lower grade examples too. So plenty of opportunities for people to bump up Maravich in their collection. One of the most exciting collections we've had this year, which this is going to be the third installment, is the Yo Exquisite Hidden Collection. Very mysterious title there by design. It's a single consigner collection. And our consigner, he loved ripping basketball packs, and he started in 2003. Great year to start. And the interesting thing about this collection is he was ripping packs. He opened almost all of these in this collection, and it's 03 Exquisite was his favorite. There's also some 04 Exquisite in a few later years, but he never got the cards graded. He never posted about them on social media. He never really talked about them. It was just something personal and private for him. So this collection was not on anyone's radar. Came to us at a show. They told us a little bit about the collection. Then once we dug in, we were amazed. There is over 1,000 cards in the collection, and all the names you want to see: Jordan, and Kobe, and LeBron, Garnett, all the stars from the era, Dwayne Wade, Paul Pierce. But we originally estimated the collection at 1.5 million when it was raw, before it was graded. We had the first grouping of it, 16 cards in the August Platinum auction. Those 16 did almost 1 million, and we still have over 1,000 to go. It's been a lot of excitement in the modern community about this collection. A lot of these cards that people were looking for, wondering if they were out there, wondering if they had possibly been discarded or lost, but now they are all coming out. He took great care of them, some high-grade examples, and of course, all the limited exquisite. He had almost an example of almost every exquisite type from 03 in his collection. We're going to be selling this through the rest of the year into next year, but a huge sample of it in this auction, and the prices are already quite strong, but some of the most sought after exquisite cards that exist, and they've just been sitting hidden for 20 years, and now collectors are getting their first chance to take them home. So we're expecting a lot of fireworks with these tonight from the Yo Exquisite Hidden Collection. Now, if we go back a little bit, another collection that really shocked us, and we are at the third stage of it as well, is the Southside Bobby collection, which Southside Bobby, he lived in the Chicago area, and he and his father went to games and events, and he, in the 60s and the late 50s, was getting cards signed in person by the players. He sent some off too, but most of them he got in person at the arena around Chicago. And so these are all vintage signed cards, and there's some beautiful examples. Here's the 58 tops Ted Williams. He also has a 59 tops Willie Mays, plus the 59 All-Star Willie Mays. You got the 59 Roger Maris, one of the favorite entries for Maris. Beautiful signature from Maris on that one. A PSA 10 autograph. Then, of course, Hank Aaron, Sandy Koufax, and then some turn back the clock guys from when he was getting them. Rogers Hornsby. He's got his 61 Fleer, and then the 60 Fleer Paul Wainer. So if you are just starting getting into the vintage signed cards market, which it's a good time to get in. There's a lot of great examples that are coming to market right now. This is an incredible collection. We've also got some large group lots of signed cards from the Southside Bobby collection. And we have a 59 top signed partial set, 341 of them, and a 60 tops baseball signed partial set, and a 61 tops baseball signed partial set. What I love about the Southside Bobby collection is that when he left the house, he essentially stopped collecting. This whole collection from the late 50s to the early 60s is just when he was collecting as a kid. And when he left the house, he left his collection behind. Every day at Heritage, we have someone tell us when they left, their mom threw out their collection, be it baseball cards or autographs or even comic books and coins from one of our other departments. That is a very common story. But Southside Bobby's mom, a friend of the collector, she held on to the collection. She gave it back to him a few years ago. He went through it and then decided it was time to distribute it to the hobby. So collectors getting a chance to get their hands on some rare vintage signed cards. That's the Southside Bobby collection, which we've had some in our last two auctions, a great selection in this auction, and we'll have some more in our future auctions as well as we work through that. But it was definitely one of those collections that when it comes in and you see all these vintage period signed cards, thousands of them, over 3,000, I believe, total, it's just mind-blowing. One of the great moments that we get to see at Heritage. And then another impressive collection included in this auction as well. We had a consignor whose grandfather, huge baseball fan, and collected baseball cards in the early 1900s. So you bet it. He's got a bunch of T206 cards, and they came to us all raw this summer. They've been in the same family for over 100 years. And what's interesting about this collection is that a large majority of them had the rare El Príncipe de Gales advertising back. So there is a huge selection of that rare add back T206 card in this auction that are all fresh to the hobby. So we have a nice collection of them. You can see there. T206 all Príncipe de Gales collection of 145 T206 cards in that one group lot. And then there's some nice highlights. Got the Ty Cobb red portrait. All of these have that rare advertising back. Beautiful example of the red portrait Cobb. We've got the Cobb bat off shoulder. Joe Tinker bat on shoulder. That one in a PSA 4. Really bold colors on that one. Then the dark cap Christy Mathewson. That's a beautiful one as well. Got Frank Chance in a 4. Johnny Evers with bat Chicago on shirt in a 3. So we know the T206 collectors are always looking for those rare backs, and the Príncipe de Gales is one of the rarest ones. So a really huge collection tonight closing. If you're looking to add some rare backs to your collection, this is the auction for you. So plenty going on, as you can see. Bidding still going on as we near extended bidding at 10 p.m. Central Time. And now back to Tony in Canada. Tony, what do you got your eye on?
Burt Blyleven. Now, what really makes this one a keeper is it's photo matched. Blyleven had a fairly long career, of course, with the Twins and the Angels. This jersey here was photo matched, which, again, takes it to a much different level. Burt Blyleven was a strikeout machine, great curveball, great player, great announcer for the Twins, actually, too. A guy who had a very long career and had a great career away from the game as well. Burt Blyleven, really solid. This is one of the first game-worn photo match jerseys I've ever seen from him. If you want a nice Burt Blyleven, this one here is a really solid example of one. This just screams 1950s, and when this came across my desk to write, I just absolutely loved it. This was a Brooklyn Dodgers 1950s stadium flag that hung on display at Ebbets Field. Of course, when they left for Los Angeles, it broke the hearts of everybody in Brooklyn, and people to this day still, speak so fondly of the Brooklyn Dodgers and the history. And it was one of the last teams that the players were actually part of the community. They did so much with the fans, and they literally lived with the fans in the neighborhoods. And when I saw this one, it just screams Dodgers 50s. NL pennants they won every year. They finally did win a World Series in 1955, but I really thought this was a really cool item because it's got Brooklyn on the front, across the front and the back, and just it's really cool piece from the 1950s. This one here, I think has got a lot of potential in the future. I think as sports fans, almost all of us play fantasy football. This is kind of the what created it all. This kind of has some of the rules from the earliest possible days of fantasy football. As you could tell from 1976, fantasy football really got popular in the early to mid 90s, and now it's a big deal everywhere. It's transformed into fantasy baseball, basketball, and everything else. But fantasy football is where it all started, and this from 1976 kind of is the rules, the official playbook of fantasy football. And I think this is a really unique piece and something that 10 years from now is going to have a lot more traction, just because it's so unique, and it's literally the rules, the beginning of fantasy football. 2001 New England Patriots team signed Super Bowl helmet. This team didn't do a lot of signings, and to get the autographs of the players, you had to do a lot of work. And this one here is team signed, and of course, Tom Brady's on it. It's from his first Super Bowl, which makes it really special. You can see some of the coaches are also represented on this helmet. I saw Romeo Crennel there. To get something like this, you had to put in a lot of work. They weren't doing a lot of signings after the season was over. And it's a cool piece, and I think it's something that as the years go on, people are going to really appreciate even more and more what Tom Brady did. And this is the start of his Super Bowl dominance. Tino Martinez game-used bat. It's a very solid example of a Tino Martinez bat. Here's one of the core four from the Yankees, one of the guys that collectors and fans, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he's a guy who gets Hall of Fame type prices. A very popular player. He was on the 1988 Team USA Olympic squad, which won gold. But Tino Martinez had a really solid career with the New York Yankees, and a really nice game-used bat from him. A guy who, he's a guy who gets Hall of Fame prices because he was one of the guys that helped make the Yankees what they were in the 1990s and the early 2000s. Really difficult to find Oakland Raiders AFL bobblehead. These bobbleheads, this is from the popular Toes Up series. The AFL was a little behind as far as the NFL, as far as popularity was concerned, but the AFL was a wide open league, really stressed passing, throwing the ball deep. The Oakland Raiders were always near the top of the AFL standings, and there is a lot of interest in the bobbleheads, but the ones that are difficult, hard to find, are the AFL versions. And this one here is a really cool Raiders, all black with the Raiders across in gold. It's a very difficult one to find. You don't see a lot of AFL nodders out there. And when I saw this in our auction, I thought it was really a really neat item from a tough series. The Toes Up, popular, but AFL made in, I think, smaller quantities than the NFL was, more regional than anything else. And that one really stood out to me. These came in recently, and I really thought these were really cool. So these wrestling contracts are from the late 70s, early 80s, from the Paul Bosch collection. Paul Bosch ran Houston Wrestling, and these contracts, I think they're all signed twice by the performer. What makes this lot really cool is there's a Kerry Von Erich, who passed away, unfortunately, very young, but more importantly, there's a Gino Hernandez in here. And Gino Hernandez autograph is very difficult to locate. He died in the mid 80s. He was in, of course, to fans locally, he was in World Class Championship Wrestling, always a heel. A lot of times he was in character. So if you went up and asked for an autograph, you weren't always successful. But this contract is signed twice by Gino Hernandez. The neat thing is it's got all the wrestlers who performed during that event. So it's got all the contracts. It's got the gate receipts. So it kind of gives you an inside look to wrestling when it was more regional in the 1970s and 80s. And there's a program with it from the event. So really neat package of wrestling autographs. And, as it's gotten more and more popular, I think wrestling is the next big thing. A lot of people have said that, but you're starting to see the prices on wrestling memorabilia go up. And I think this is a really neat one from some of the wrestlers, again, Kerry Von Erich and Gino Hernandez, guys you don't typically see all that much because they died so young. And I really thought this was a neat lot. Unfortunately, this week, Pete Rose passed away. And yes, he did sign a lot of autographs, but this one I thought was really cool. It's his rookie card signed, but he did a number of inscriptions on it. Pete Rose Rookie of the Year. And if you scroll to the top, 1973 MVP. Charlie Hustle, which he didn't always sign, 42-56 hits, and 17-time All-Star. Pete Rose, love him or hate him, the guy played the game with an unbridled enthusiasm and take no prisoners attitude. And he's a guy, of course, that's going to be missed. But I thought it was a kind of neat Pete Rose, not just the autograph on this, but the amount of inscriptions that he did. He's a guy that'll never be forgotten. This one here, I was looking at some of the tickets in our auction, and this one here is from 1994. So Derek Jeter, his first spring training plate appearance. Now, nobody who attended that game was thinking, I got to save my ticket. It's Jeter's first spring training appearance with the Yankees. People didn't really save that kind of stuff. And this, of course, is going to have a very low population. And I thought it was just a neat, very limited piece from a game that nobody would have ever imagined would be as important as when you look back to the early 90s when the Yankees weren't that good. This is one of the really cool pieces from that time period when a young Derek Jeter played in spring training for the first time, his first at bat. And it's the only known exemplar. And anytime you can say the only known, I can't imagine many more of these ever coming out because, again, nobody had any idea that Derek Jeter would become what he ultimately became. And nobody thought, I got to save this. So I thought that was a really cool collectible and for Derek Jeter fans. And we also have here an O-Pee-Chee Eddie Murray rookie. The thing which really makes this a cool piece is the card's graded a PSA near mint to mint 8, and the autograph is graded a 10. Most of the time when people get these signed, the O-Pee-Chees are really hard to find in nice condition. And this one here is graded an 8. Centering's always tough on this, registration, corners. But this one here is a high grade with a really nice signature by Eddie Murray, a guy who I think if you look in the grand scheme of things, is a little bit underrated. He could do everything, a great hitter his whole career. But this one here, you're starting to get more and more people looking for the high grade signed cards. And this one here, graded 8. Graded 8, unsigned is cool. But with that autograph, that Gem Mint 10 autograph, this is what a lot of people are looking towards. And that's a great example of Eddie Murray's rookie card.
Thanks, Tony. Always great to hear your insight. And of course, your lovable guffaw that the industry loves. So let's talk about some game-worn material. We have some really unique entries closing tomorrow night, session 2. We'll close tomorrow, all the memorabilia, but I love this one. It's been on display in our gallery in our home office in Dallas, Texas. This is a 1970 Dick Butkus game-worn Chicago Bears jersey, Mears A10. What's interesting about 1970 is that's the first year of the NFL-AFL merger when the NFL took in the AFL teams. AFL teams had their names on the backs. NFL teams did not. But as part of the merger in 1970, all the teams in the entire NFL put the names on back. So this would be the first year that you could get a Butkus gamer with Butkus written on the back, one of the most legendary defenders of all time, a top tier Hall of Famer. And what you'll notice about a lot of these gamers is photo matched. And this one is photo matched to the photo shoot that produced Butkus's 1972 Topps card. 72 Topps football, one of the great football issues of all time. And there he is wearing this jersey right there. Always cool when you can photo match an item to a player's card. For photographs, vintage photographs, over the last few years, we've seen some amazing prices for the photos that were used for the cards. And this is kind of the same thing for the memorabilia side of it. Very rare for it to happen. But as you can see right there, they were able to match it to the front of the jersey, the numerals on it. But this jersey, as you might imagine, from Butkus is absolutely battered. Some great wear on this one, and we rarely see Butkus gamers. That era of Bears jerseys, very rare to find gamers from them, but especially the top tier guys. And this is one of the finest Bears jerseys we've ever offered. So very excited to see where that one ends up. And then up next, a gamer from the GOAT here. One of his greatest seasons. This is a 1996 Jerry Rice game-worn 49ers jersey in that 49er red, the more popular of the two varieties for 49ers collections. 96, a big year for Rice. That's the year he broke Jim Brown's all-time touchdown record. This game was only a couple games after that. But he had a huge game. It's photo match to December 8th versus the Panthers. That game, Rice had 10 catches, 129 yards, and he scored career touchdown number 153. Some great wear on it. And you can see it's got the anniversary patch on the left shoulder right there, the 50-year anniversary. The NFL. The 49ers jersey is just a classic look, and Jerry Rice, unquestionably the greatest to ever play his position. And so this is a absolutely fantastic example. We've had some great Rice gamers in our last few auctions over the year that have seen great results. So we expect a lot of competition for this one. Now, this next one is a testament to the power of Tom Brady in the industry. You can see it's already a 5-figure jersey, and this is a practice jersey worn by Tom Brady. This is 2020, so a championship season. And as far as practice jerseys go, this is the finest I've ever seen. Great photo matching on it. And he essentially wore this in practice through the entire season. So it was on Brady during a championship season more than any other jersey he wore that year. And it's that classic Buccaneers creamsicle color orange, which collectors love, myself included. But this has been photo matched to training camp, practices during the regular season, practices during the playoffs, and the practices the week of the Super Bowl for that 2020 Super Bowl victory for Brady. So very interested to see where this one ends up. Practice jerseys are often an afterthought, but not when you're talking about the GOAT, Tom Brady. His material is just so coveted that anything he wore or touched has a lot of value. And this is a special one that he wore the whole season during a championship season. And you've got that ironclad photo matching throughout the entire Super Bowl championship season. So very intriguing to see where this one ends up. This next one's one of my favorites in the auction. Say Roberto Clemente gamer. And essentially those 3 words is all I need to say. But let me expound, because this one is very special. So 1960, the Pirates World Championship season. It is that vest style that is so popular, and you can see the iconic 21 on the back right there. This is the season Mazeroski hit the most important home run in Pirates history, clinching the World Series for them in Game 7, the walk-off home run. And Clemente wore this jersey that season, and Clemente had an incredible year that year with 815 OPS during the National League pennant season. And he'd earned his first and second of 15 All-Star appearances, 2 All-Star games that year in 1960, and the first of 8 top 10 finishes in MVP voting. Just a beautiful jersey, and it's photo matched as well. PSA has photo matched it, and Sports Investors has photo matched it, and also SGC authenticated it, grading it excellent. So it is checking every box as far as authentication. And as you can see, the aesthetics are just off the chart for this one. Beautiful example. And then when you add the dual photo matching from the top 2 companies, just spectacular. And of course, we've got game used bats as well. And this one's from Shohei Ohtani, who had a huge season entering the 50-50, creating and entering the 50-50 club this year. But beautiful bat from him here. It's a PSA DNA GU9, and it's photo matched as well, including 2 games where he hit home runs, his 16th and 17th home runs of the 2022 season. Just a spectacular example. 33.5 inches, 31.8 ounces, and PSA calls the game use outstanding. So there's plenty of ball marks, stitch impressions, ink transfers, cleat divots all over the barrel. Just a spectacular example from the biggest name in baseball right now. So collectors are going to be going after that one hot and heavy, I believe. This next one is a really unique gamer from a name you may not recognize, but you definitely know his story. So this is a 1950 Eddie Watkiss Philadelphia Phillies jersey. So on June 14th, 1949, during the middle of his All-Star season, Eddie Watkiss was shot by an obsessed 19-year-old fan named Ruth Ann Steinhagen. Does that story sound familiar? I bet it does, because that story and Watkiss was the inspiration for Bernard Malamud's iconic novel, The Natural, and then was later immortalized in the movie with Robert Redford. So it was Watkiss who was the inspiration for that classic baseball story. It actually happened. He was actually shot. He was dying several times on the operating table. Doctors were able to save him. He had to have 4 operations to survive. So he returned to the major leagues the next season in 1950, and this is the jersey he wore. And that was an important year for the Phillies. That was their Whiz Kids era with their young team. And he was an important factor in that year. They won the pennant for the first time in 35 years. And in 50, Watkiss batted .284. He had 102 runs, 32 doubles, and he was 24th in MVP voting. So a great season considering he almost died the year before. But beautiful example, obviously, that classic Phillies style. And that Whiz Kid era is very familiar and famous for Phillies fans. They had a great season. But you love to have a gamer where you can tie it in with the story, and every baseball fan knows The Natural, but not that many know that it was a real event that happened to a real player, Eddie Watkiss. And this is the jersey he wore the season he returned after he was able to survive the 19-year-old obsessed fan shooting him. Very excited to see where that one does. It has such a great story. And speaking of great stories, we've got some great championship hardware. We have Patriots rings. We have Chiefs Super Bowl rings. But this one is really special. This is the 2005 Steelers Super Bowl ring, and it's a player ring. Defensive end Kimo von Oelhoffen. He is the consigner, and he is donating the proceeds from this to his alma mater, Molokai High School in Hawaii, for improvements to its football facilities and the school. So a really generous moment from Kimo here. Beautiful ring that, of course, you can see right from the front of it that's when the Steelers got their 5th Lombardi trophy, and that's immortalized right on the front of the ring with the Steelers logo. Steelers, one of the most important franchises in the NFL, very dedicated fan base. So I expect a lot of competition for this, especially a player ring. That is the top tier for Super Bowl rings. And it comes directly from Kimo, and it has a charity cause behind it. So you can get a great item, a beautiful Super Bowl ring, and know the money is going to help possible future NFL players from Kimo's high school in Hawaii. This next one really caught my eye. Very unique item. Jordan, of course, is a mainstay in the industry, and anything he's signed, his signature has just exploded in value in the last 4 years. But this is a unique one. This is a 1995 Chicago Bulls team signed parking sheet. So when the Bulls went on a road trip, they went to O'Hare and they would park their cars in a special area, and the attendant who was in charge of it, he's the consigner of this. The players would sign their names and list their car on the sheet. So this is the 95, during the 95 playoffs, when Jordan came back from baseball and they were playing the Orlando Magic. But a very cool sheet here. You can see Jordan signs, and this is when he had his famous red Ferrari, and he lists the Ferrari there. But you can see all the players, the coaches have signed. It's the complete team there, and they've also listed their cars. You've even got Johnny Red Kerr, the announcer. He was driving a minivan. But you can kind of tell the hierarchy of players from the type of car that they have. So some nice insight into the 90s Bulls here, and a really unique piece with a great Jordan autograph. Jordan autographs are out there, but this is one that's kind of special and interesting. And if you were a basketball fan in the 90s, you definitely remember Jordan's red Ferrari, and he pins it himself as he parked it as they were heading for a playoff game. All right, let's talk about some cards, and we're going way back here. These are some of the oldest cards that exist in the hobby, especially this one. This is the 1869 Peck and Snyder Red Stockings. This is the Cincinnati club, but nice team shot there. Just a really rare card, and this is from the very beginning of the national pastime. There's some great mustachery on the players there, which if you've watched our show, you know I am a big fan of. Population 7 for this one. It's just authentic. So there is only 7 examples in the PSA pop, and this one is going to find a new home tonight. Up next, this is one of my favorite issues. Super rare. In fact, very possible you've never even seen it. This is the 1888 Y95 Scraps Tobacco. So this was a set that was produced by H.D. Smith and Company. This example features the Hall of Fame slugger Dan Browthers in a PSA X-Mint 6, but incredibly rare set. So this set was 18 players from the Detroit Wolverines and the St. Louis Browns. They met in the 1887 World Series Championship. But really colorful cards, but you can see they're die cut, so very condition sensitive. So few exist, and very few in high grade. There's only 258 examples from the entire set in the PSA population. And this one in an X-Mint 6 is the highest graded of all of them. Pop 1, none higher for the entire set of Scraps Tobacco, the Y98. And there's only 11 examples of Dan Brothers. So the highest graded from the whole set from a super rare issue. And one key factor in the condition sensitive, if you zoom in on his face there, I love the old time mustachery. You can see that little part of his mustache is part of the die cut there that sticks out. That is intact on this example. The mustache survives, which I love, but super rare, but a beautiful card. The colors are super bold. They went with the turquoise and red, which just jumps off the card there. So for people who are looking for a really unique card, this is it. It's from a scarce set, a beautiful set, and this is the highest graded from the entire set that exists. And speaking of old and rare, this one is 1896 basketball ticket, the oldest basketball ticket we've ever sold. This is a basketball game, the Maroons versus New Britain High School. PSA Good 2 is the grade, but just 5 years after basketball was invented, so the real infancy of the game, and YMCA was a major player. That's where Dr. James Naismith created the game, and this is a ticket to a YMCA game from 1896. Unbelievable rarity. That was just a really exciting one when it crossed my desk, and a very unique item for somebody to add to their collection. And speaking of which, we have a lot of Ty Cobb cards in the auction, of course, and Ty Cobb pieces, memorabilia as well. This is one I had never seen before. 1914 E&S Publishing Company. This is the Ty Cobb postcard. And it's interesting. This series has the portrait of the player in the middle, and then around it are some cartoons talking about what a great player they were. I wouldn't describe these as humorous cartoons. There is an attempt at humor. I don't know if it hit home, but I had never seen this Ty Cobb card before. And whenever you can say that about one of the most important players in baseball history, you know it's something special. Really unique set, a series of postcards that combine the photo and the cartoon drawings. But yeah, I'd never seen it before. Interesting to find out what that's going to go for. You can see it's already off to a very good start, but it's going to find a new home tonight. And speaking of rare, we have some great non-sports offerings in the auction, especially some tonight and then some on Sunday night. But this is one of the rarest non-sports cards that exists. This is the 1932 R114 U.S. Caramel William McKinley. This is from the President's set. So this is one of those great marketing ploys of the era. So the U.S. Caramel Company, they produced a set of 31 President cards. They wanted everyone to collect them, and you could exchange the complete set of 31 and receive a box of 1 pound of chocolate. 1 pound. I know Tony would be interested in that. But to make sure that they didn't give away too much chocolate, this card, the McKinley card, was severely limited in its distribution. Very few existed, so that was a common ploy at the time. Gowdy did the same thing with the Lajoie card in 1933. So there's very few of these. In fact, there's only 11 examples in the combined PSA and SGC populations. So this is one of 11 known to exist. And this one was exchanged for the chocolate. You can see on the back, it's got the canceled mark and the stamp at the bottom, that unique shaped stamp. So this must have been someone who worked for the company. Somebody traded in the set and they must have kept it, but only 11 exist. We've seen some trending upward for non-sports cards, and this President's set from 1932 is a favorite among collectors, and this is the hardest one to find. We also have an example of the Lincoln card from this set in the same auction if you're a fan of that. And speaking of non-sports cards, this one blew me away. This is a set that never ceases to amuse me despite the name. The 1938 R69 Gum Inc. Horrors of War collector's set. A very infamous set that has some very graphic imagery of war. It was definitely not an issue that was trying to extol the greatness of war, but it was showing what could really happen to you if you enlisted or were drafted. A lot of mayhem in beautifully depicted in cartoon-like imagery. But this is a linchpin set for the non-sports collectors, and it was sold as complete sets. And that's what this is. It comes with the box it came in. So it's the complete set of 240 cards, and it has the box that someone bought it in with that great, beautifully rendered imaging on the front. It has the actual cards on the front. I had never seen this complete set with the box before, so a huge opportunity for one collector tonight. Another rarity up next, I'd never seen this one before. So ask yourself, how many cards in your collection have Jackie Robinson on one side and James Cagney on the other? This is the 1947 Bond Bred issue. So 47, Robinson rookie year. But Robinson paired with one of the biggest stars of the silver screen at the time. This one, a PSA VG3, Pop 1, just 3 higher. But a really unique card and a unique look at that era, the late 40s, where you've got Jackie Robinson. His importance is supreme, of course, and what he meant to baseball and our country in general. And then you've got Cagney, one of the most famous actors of all time, on the other side. These were dual-sided cards that would have an athlete on one side and then an actor or a celebrity on the other side. And this one is my favorite combination out of that set because you got Jackie and Cagney. Now, we've also got a lot of great tickets in the auction, some great signed examples and some great debuts and important milestones. There's dozens of great tickets examples. This one caught my eye because it's Tiger Woods and it's high grade. This is the 92 Tiger Woods, his first PGA event at the Nissan Open in 1992. This is a full ticket, PSA near mint to mint 8, Pop 1 with none higher. This is the highest graded example, but I love the story behind it. Why is it in such great condition? Because the owner of it was excited to go to the event, but the morning of it, his wife went into labor and they had their first child that day. So he did not go attend the event, but held on to this and kept it in great condition. The ticket market has really changed over the last few years and exploded. And Tiger's one of the top names in it. His first event, our tickets are hard to find, and this is the highest graded example. So definitely expecting a lot of action on that tonight. And then we're going to end with one of my favorite genres of the hobby, original photography. And we have some great examples from all eras, all sports and non-sports. But this one is my favorite. This is 1947, Jackie's rookie year. And this is Jackie Robinson, his wife, Rachel, and their first child, Jackie Robinson Jr. It's at home. It's a beautiful image, portrait of the whole family. And I love seeing the smile on Jackie's face there as he's holding his son, Jackie Jr. All baseball fans and sports fans know how difficult Jackie's rookie year of 1947 was. And he's often talked about how his family was the thing that kept him going. So important image here. This is a type 1 from his rookie season of Jackie's family. We've got some great team photos, type 1 team photos. And I love this one. This is the 1912 American League All-Star Barnstorming team. And you've got Ty Cobb and Walter Johnson in this one. And I love how casual it is, that the guys are just sitting on the ground. But the American League All-Stars here, first time we've offered this image. So you've got the greatest hitter and pitcher of all time. They were adversaries for decades, but here they were barnstorming together, and I'm sure both were very glad not to be facing each other, but two of the best to ever do it. And you can see when you look at the players that they were all having a lot of fun. Photography was pretty serious at the time. Not many people would smile, but there are some smiles in this one, and just a great casual shot of them. This next one, this one's the fans. And I just love this image. This is a 1956 photo at Ebbets Field during the World Series, Game 1. It's a Type 1. And I love this shot from the stands. You've got the program vendor there. A lot of people have those 56 World Series programs in their collection. There's somebody selling them right there. You can see the packed crowd and the field of play as well. That's a really unique image that I'd never seen before. And then two off the field ones to end here. This is a great one of Ted Williams from the 1950s. Ted, of course, famous outdoorsman. He loved fishing. He loved hunting, purportedly was very good at both. And you can see how good he is fishing here. A massive fish he just caught. And what's really cool about this one, he's wearing a Red Sox cap, and very possible that that was a game cap that he just took home from him. It looks exactly like a game cap, and he just threw it into his wardrobe and took it fishing. So I love these unique entries, and especially when it's a player off the field, off the court in their own time doing what they love. And Ted Williams, so famous for being an outdoorsman. So this is a very cool one. And then lastly, this Mickey Mantle photo, great one here. The Mick, this is from 1961. So the 61 home run chase year. And this is Mick signing an autograph for a young fan who's actually identified on the back, George Cram. So a Type 1 photo here, and a special moment. You can see Mick taking his time with it. His autograph is abundant in the industry, so this would be a great pairing item if you have a Mantle signed item, to have a photo of him signing an autograph for a fan. So a really unique Type 1 photo that's going to be closing in session 3. So plenty going on. Thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Always exciting to see the auction end and talk about some of these great items and incredible stories behind them. Session 1 will close tonight. Extended bidding begins at 10 p.m. Central Time. And then tomorrow we have session 2, the memorabilia. And then in session 3, we have more incredible memorabilia and cards for you, including some of the items we talked about tonight. A huge thank you to our consigners for trusting us with our items, and to you bidders, good luck this weekend. Go get them, and we'll